I never thought we would actually trade so crazy with the Timberwolves right now. I don't know. I'm all shook up. This is crazy. Shocker.
Hey, you know what? The NBA is a strange and wonderful place where magical things can happen any night.
Who would you rather have right now? Andrew Wiggins or Harrison Barnes?
Give me Wiggins. I'm not gonna go off the wagon now. Too much stock has been purchased.
Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to Let's Go Warriors. My name is Daniel Hardee, and I've got the wonderful Dr. Thomas Bevilacqua as a special guest today. Dr. Tom, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Don't worry. I'm not on the move. I'm here for the long term.
And we also have an extra special guest today. He's coming at you from a Timberwolves perspective today. His name is Colton Molesky. Colton, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I am excited for the 150 to 145 games that the Timberwolves are about to host, because the defense is not getting any better and the offense just got a whole lot better.
That's right. Now, Colton, can you tell the people of Dub Nation what you're doing right now as far as your work covering the Timberwolves?
So I covered the Timberwolves for a couple of years for the Locked On Wolves, or the Locked On NBA network. I ran the Locked On Wolves podcast. Right now I just write in general about the NBA at large for SB Nation, but I'm born and raised in Minneapolis, grew up through the KG years. I watched a lot of Sprewell basketball that I will regret for the rest of my life.
Sprewell.
Now I'm watching this weird phase of Timberwolves basketball with some really good players, but a really bad team. And we just added another player who's probably going to be really fun to watch, but I don't know makes them a playoff team.
That's right, folks. So yeah, me, Dr. Tom, and Colton Molesky today. Let's get into it. So Colton, first things first. Okay, Warriors just put off this big blockbuster trade. We're sending out D'Angelo Russell to Minnesota for Andrew Wiggins and 2 picks. Looks like 1 first rounder for 2021, and then you have a second rounder in there as well. Not gonna lie to you, right now our group chats as far as Warriors fans go are in panic mode. A lot of fans are like, WTF, what's going on? Especially considering the fact that we had heard that D'Lo wasn't getting shipped out at least until he played with Steph again. So this is kind of a sudden shock for us. But one of the ways that we get through shocks like these is with friends who can give us the other perspective. Now, Colton, as a friend of ours, can you please give us maybe some things about Andrew Wiggins that may help us from an optimistic perspective?
All right, so here's the super optimistic perspective, is that next year you will have 2 of the best shooters in NBA history in Curry and Thompson coming back. And what is the most pure form of Andrew Wiggins' offense? It's getting to the basket, it's getting to that rim, it's being aggressive to the rack. And so the best part about Andrew Wiggins is his ability to go underneath other people's range and other people's long shooting. And you guys have the best deep shooters in the NBA, and now you have somebody who's going to be super aggressive to the rim. You have Green, who's getting a little old. Green is getting a little old, and so somebody who's going to be aggressive.
You scared me. I thought we just traded Draymond for Drummond. You scared me for a second.
I'm sorry, that was bad. I was having a weird argument about Drummond with another NBA fan just a few minutes ago. NBA Twitter is very strange. We'll put it that way. But you have Draymond Green, who's getting old. You have Wiggins, who's going to be aggressive to the basket, and you have guys who he can finally play underneath. He's not going to be stuck in this weird role like he was with Butler, where he has to shoot the 3 and he's super uncomfortable with that. He's not going to be in this weird zone where that kind of 18-footer that he kind of likes for some reason is going to be taken up by other shooters. He's going to have his run of the paint area, and I think it could actually be kind of beneficial for him.
Dr. Tom, in light of that wonderful, optimistic point of view, what are you hearing from Dub Nation that you might be able to talk to Colton about as far as maybe some negative aspects?
Well, it seems like doing the thing that one shouldn't do, which is mistaking Twitter for real life. You're seeing a lot of Warriors Twitter is very upset about this move because they see Andrew Wiggins. First of all, they see the contract, which is a very large one, and they worry about that. But also, they see maybe the inefficiencies of his game, the struggles that he's had that obviously the Timberwolves have not with him and karl-anthony Towns and that brief moment with Jimmy Butler, that they only made the playoffs once and they had struggles throughout, but that this is a player, despite coming in with he was the number one pick and won Rookie of the Year, that he is this sort of lost cause and just this inefficient player who sort of represents all of the, I don't know what you call it, like the things that they don't like about basketball or the way basketball can be played.
Wait. You said this player represents the things they don't like about basketball? Okay, Colton.
What is that,
true?
Canada?
Is that true? Is that accurate?
Here's the thing, is that even if any of that is true, you bought in on Wiggins stock at the absolute lowest. They had to give up a bunch of draft picks. Were you guys ever really keeping D'Angelo Russell for the long haul in any scenario? I mean,
maybe as a spark.
Kind of the least risk that you could have taken with a D'Lo trade, I think.
Well, and that's the thing why I personally am more optimistic. I don't think what this trade is, we won't know until at least next year. But what I like about it is because there was this redundancy when it came to Steph's game and D'Angelo's game. And Colton, as you pointed out, Wiggins, he fills in a spot in what the Warriors want to do. He is something different. He could play the three, whereas if we're saying, okay, we're going to try out a Steph, D'Lo, Clay lineup, you're undersized, and Clay is a little undersized to be at the three spot. Wiggins is a proper three, so if you're taking Steph, Clay, and Wiggins and putting him out here, like that's what a lineup should look like. And so I think you're right. Maybe not, in terms of the stock is the lowest, and this is someone who has all the potential. And the Warriors, we all talk about how great, and it has been proven to be true, the culture is around the Warriors and what Steph can do and what Draymond and Clay can do. 3 All-Stars, 3 champions. Well, you're taking a guy whose potential maybe hasn't been realized, who has been in an environment that, has been challenging. I can only imagine what it would be like to play with Jimmy Butler. I'd probably have some trouble with it too. But you think if you put him in a good environment, you can get something out of him. So I'm kind of going on record as I see the rationale and I'm optimistic.
Well, on the flip side, with D'Lo heading to Minnesota, and I also share your optimism, Dr. Tom. I think that when you have Steph, Clay, and Dre as 3 All-Stars, and throughout NBA history, I've never seen a team say, "Oh, we only have 3 All-Stars, we're screwed." So for me, I feel like if Steph, Clay, and Dre can't make the playoffs with Andrew Wiggins and I guess a top 3 pick they're getting in this next year's draft, then immediately decline their applications for the Hall of Fame because they don't belong to be there. Like that's what All-Stars do. That's what greats do. They elevate players around them. And with those guys who are all-time greats and can space the floor, if Wiggins' strengths were ever going to be maximized, it'd be here. So I'm pretty optimistic.
Here's the biggest concern Warriors fans should have is the last time that Wiggins was behind a couple of All-Stars was when it was Towns and Butler, and there was reports of him not being a fan of being the third fiddle, as it were. Now he's probably the 4th best guy on this team. So that would be the one, if I have any creeping concerns, it's not about how his game fits. It's not about your coaching staff and Steve Kerr's ability to get the best out of him because he's in probably the best situation he's ever going to be in for his career. It's mostly the idea of, can he lock in mentally, or is he going to be opposed to the idea of being the 4th best player on a team? That's probably the worst case scenario, is that he sells out. And even if it does come to fruition, you still got a couple picks for him. And you gave up a guy who wasn't going to stay.
Okay, I can dig that. I mean, if you look at it that way, we kind of took Kevin Durant and traded him for Andrew Wiggins and a number 1 pick in a roundabout way. So, I mean, could be worse. Although I noticed no one talks about his defense. Could you shed some light on that for me?
I mean, it's not like your guys' defense is going to get any worse, I guess. The defense is a problem. And I think that lining up next to Clay will help it a little bit. But that's one of those things where, again, this is kind of uncharted waters as far as this is the best coaching staff, this is the best team he's going to be on. If you can pull the best version out of him, his high effort play is really fun to watch. And maybe he's not great defensively, just man against man when he's trying to stop someone from getting a basket, but he is really athletic and really good at causing a little bit of chaos and forcing some loose balls and some turnovers. And what team is better than the Warriors at making buckets off of chaos and off of this controlled madness that they so frequently find an open guy in a corner off of? And so, again, I think that a lot of what he does kind of caters to some of the better versions of the Warriors. And I think that he's going to have the most non-pressure situation of his career in Golden State. And I think that's going to be really conducive for a guy who's so passive.
And I think you've seen it in the past, though, with not lower risk players, but I guess it's just, this comes back to the contract and the sort of size of it. But you look at what the Warriors did with JaVale McGee, to some degree with Nick Young, what they're doing now with Marquise Chris. They can take these players because of the culture and get them to play up to their abilities and probably even beyond it. I'm sure if even you asked the most optimistic JaVale, if you probably asked JaVale McGee's family if they ever thought he'd be a two-time champion, they'd probably say, probably not. But he was a two-time champion with the Warriors. So it really is, if anybody can do this, and there is potential there. Whether you saw it in flashes in Minnesota or just by kind of watching the tape, there's potential there when it comes to Andrew Wiggins. And if any team's going to get that and maximize it and turn it into the best that it can be in the NBA, it's probably going to be the Warriors.
Who won this trade between the Warriors and the T-Wolves?
I'm going to let Dr. Tom go first while I contemplate.
I like it for both teams. I think it is one where you're going to get the most, they can get the most out of these players who are seen as imperfect or flawed and treated in a negative way. I'm going to say the Warriors for two reasons. One, because I'm insanely biased, but also I like the picks. I think that while Spellman and Evans go over to Minnesota, and I have liked Spellman this year. He has played well. He kind of impressed me. I like those picks that they're getting back. I just think that those are better assets, especially if you're saying we're a team that this year is kind of this lost year, but we're still the Warriors. We still do have 3 All-Stars and 3-time NBA champions on the roster. And so we're looking ahead. The key to replenishing that cupboard is to have draft picks. And so I think getting those, that's the one thing why I would say the Warriors won it. But I do like it for Minnesota. And I think it makes sense as the Minnesota traded Jeff Teague, then they didn't have that sort of point guard, and now you've got this guy who really fits what they want to do. In the Warriors, you have this redundancy with Steph and D'Lo, and now you get a proper swingman. So it made, despite what NBA Twitter and some of the people at Let's Go Warriors think, it made sense. So, like I say, I like it kind of for both teams, but the picks are the reason why I say I like it a little more for the Warriors.
Is it a cop-out to say Andrew Wiggins won the trade? I mean, he's still a max contract player, gets out of a place where a lot of the fans were really nasty to him and really out on him, and now gets to play on still I would say the best, most optimistic team in the NBA as far as they still, I think, have the best coaching staff. They still have probably the best roster when they're healthy. When they're healthy, I don't know how many other rosters, maybe the Clippers you would take over them just because of their depth, but you still, when Curry and Clay and Draymond are out there, I don't know how many other rosters you're taking over those guys, whatever 2 players you're pairing with those 3. And so he gets the best situation, he gets the best coaching staff, he gets a fresh start He's still a max player. I don't know. I feel like Wiggins really won this trade. He gets to totally redo his situation, but he's also still one of the higher players in the league.
Colton, do you have anything that you want to leave Dub Nation with as we go into the Andrew Wiggins era?
Have fun with them. We definitely did.
And Dr. Tom, anything for the Timberwolves fans out there for the D'Angelo Russell ice in his veins era?
His shots always look weird, but he can get really hot. So enjoy it.
All right.
Remember, this is like the best point guard we've had like ever.
What? Oh yeah.
That Jeff Teague disrespect. Come on.
What about Troy Hudson? He's pretty good.
Dear God. Why do I watch this team?
Sam Cassell. Where's Sam Cassell? Let him
Terrell
hang.
Brandon. Terrell Brandon. He's pretty good.
Holy Moses. Why do I like basketball?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and as always, let's go Warriors.